In this video, I'm going to be flashing an ESP8266 NodeMCU development board with Espruino. That was a mouthful, so let me take a second and break it down. The ESP8266 is a cool little chip with a processor, RAM, and Wi-Fi. It can be used almost on its own, but it's a little hard to deal with. NodeMCU is an open-source firmware and development kit. Their hardware dev boards are basically the ESP8266 with all the components you need to make the 8266 work with very little headache. There are a few different makers of the NodeMCU boards, but Amica is the endorsed producer. There's a great article on Freightantic about these boards. I will link to it in the description if you want to check it out. On the other hand, Espruino is an ECMAScript/JavaScript engine that runs on microcontrollers, like the 8266. Espruino does sell their own microcontrollers with their JavaScript engine already flashed on them, but they are a bit more expensive than the 8266 dev boards. Also, just an FYI, I will have the links in the description to everything I use in this video. I'll also be publishing an Instructable on this setup. Now, let's get Espruino running on this board. In order to use this board, we need a few things. The first thing we need is the driver. This can be downloaded from seallabs.com. Simply download it and run the installer. Now go ahead and plug the board up to your computer via USB, open a command line, and list out the /dev directory, looking for anything that starts with TTY. One of the items in this list will be the slab_USB to UART connection. This is the port for your board. Go ahead and copy this path and save it for later. You're going to need it during the flashing process. One quick note here. If all we wanted to do was flash the board, and we were running Windows, we could use NodeMCU Flasher. This tool is supposed to be cross-platform in the future, but I don't know when or if that will actually happen. So in this case, we're going to be using ESPTool, which is a Python-based command line utility that lets you communicate with the ESP8266. This is great because it's cross-platform, it lets you do things with the chip other than flash it, and it works with the 8266 by itself. That means the 8266 doesn't have to be part of a NodeMCU board to do this. Now, not to overcomplicate things, but because ESPTool is Python-based, you'll need to have Python and PySerial installed. macOS comes with Python installed, but you'll need to install PySerial by downloading it from the link in the description. Once you download it, you can install it by jumping back over to the command line and changing directories to the PySerial folder you downloaded, and running sudo python install on the setup.py file. Now, in order to install ESPTool, we need to use the pip package manager. If you don't have pip installed, you can install it by running easy_install pip. Use the pip package manager to install ESPTool by running pip install ESPTool. After that, you can run esptool.py /h to see all the things you can do. We're going to be using the write_flash command to flash the chip. Now, let's finally get Espruino working on this chip by browsing to espruino.com/Espruino ESP8266 and downloading the firmware. This is a 4 MB board, so I'm going to grab this one. Open the README file in the folder you just downloaded and copy the line for flashing the 4 MB board. Open your command line back up and change directories to the firmware folder. Now, paste in the flash command from the README file and change the port to the one we copied earlier. Press Enter and a few seconds later, you'll have Espruino running. After all that's done, you have a few options for interfacing with the board. If you use Node.js, you'll probably like the Espruino command line tool on NPM. However, the easiest way to get up and running is to use the Espruino Web IDE Chrome plugin. The link is in the description. Once installed, make sure you first click the gear icon, go to the communications menu, and change the baud rate to 115200. Otherwise, it will look like it connects, but you won't be able to send any code to the board. To connect to the board, click the Connect button in the upper left corner and choose your connection. I'm not really sure why the connections are showing up twice here, but whatever. Now, press the Reset button on the board and you should be connected. You can run JavaScript right on the board by typing it in the terminal on the left-hand side. Or you can write and send code to the board on the right-hand side. In this example, I've wired up an LED to pin 0 and ground. If you pull up a diagram of the GPIO on this board, you'll see that pin 0 is GPIO 16. So I'm going to write some quick code to turn the LED on and off. If you want to get programming with Espruino, you can find out more about their API by looking at their docs. And well, that's it. I have some sweet projects coming up that are going to be using this board, including a mag lock for my office and a smartphone remote. And as always, if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.